Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews, we back at this again. Because it's a lot going on in the Israelite community. Some Israelites don't even know what's going on. Some don't care. That's like the camps. You got some big Israelite organizations. And, man, they got a lot of members. And man, they don't understand what's going on. And how that the camp leaders, man, they ain't connected, man, to no truth, and how that they got their members waiting on a demigod, waiting on a Jesus, man, to come and save them, and how that they ain't thinking about the promised land. Now you got some leaders, they got organizations, they got hundreds of millions of dollars. Easy for them to go place a stake, especially in the mountainous part in the promised land that probably the Jews don't even want or don't even care about. You got big organizations, man, they can go make a purchase, man. I'm talking about GMS, ISUPK, and them brothers in purple, ICIU, whichever one's been, man, it's quite a few of them, and they all got money, and all the ones that got money and got big organizations, they believe in demigod worship and in Jesus. So they ain't too quick, man, to try to, make no connections with the promised land. They satisfied here in captivity, because they think that a Jesus or Yawashi gonna bust out the sky and men gonna make everything all right to them, and then they gonna be raptured up. They believe in the New Testament doctrine, so they ain't got no will power to try to, go back, to the promised land where we supposed to be as Israelites. Now, like I said, it's a lot going on in the Israelite community, and I'm gonna focus back on the Israelites, man, that's in the promised land, that escaped captivity and made it to the promised land. And I'm going to open this up, man, by reading this, because when we go back to the promised land, man, it's supposed to be by scripture. See, those Israelites that's in the promised land, they're not in scriptures. They're not in scriptures, man. Their return is not in scriptures, man. And it's awful, man, how the beast is, the folks is doing them, television, man, is gonna be on, you know what I'm saying, by the Ashkenazi and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And man, another thing, man, these Israelites calling themselves African Hebrew Israelites. Alright, you got that African title on you. Alright, then, man, you can't be two peoples. You know what I'm saying? Man, you cannot be two peoples in one spot. You know what I'm saying? You either gonna be this, man, and you gonna be that, and calling yourself African Hebrew Israelite. Man, them folks gonna kick you out the promised land. They gonna kick you out the promised land. And then when you using the Jewish history, man, see, these Israelites went back, man, and they start using Jewish history, man. They start using the Jews' history, and they've been using Jewish history from day one, man, from day one. But what I'm trying to say is that they went to the promised land and start using the Jews' holidays and everything, and all the stuff that our ancestors supposedly had one time did, that when we abandoned our heritage to the to Ashkenazi and the Sephardics, who are called the Jews, that, man, they created a what's called Judaism, and it's their religion off of our heritage. And how the real Israelites then accepted that and tried to embrace that and tried to fit in. And man, them folks don't want them to fit in. And then another thing, them Israelites calling themselves African Hebrews. Now, man, it's gonna have to be an explanation of why they call themselves African Hebrews, knowing that the Hebrews, man, supposed to be just in this one spot. You see what I'm saying? That's gonna be making the connection, in a sense, to the Israelites that ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. You know, the Jews real smart now. And then, you know what I'm saying, they gonna know that them calling themselves African Hebrews, that they might stumble and make a connection. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man, they gonna wanna get all them up out of there. Especially when a whole bunch of them been seeing that I've been showing that we the Israelites from the Babylonian captivity and how we ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. One of the world's greatest hidden secret, one of the world's greatest kept hidden secret, number one, and how that they don't want to ever talk about the Israelites going into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. All the tribes, as I've made countless videos showing that it was never any 10 lost tribes. Alright, these Israelites getting kicked out of 46 families, they say. You know what I'm saying? Probably all the ones that, you know what I'm saying, that the Jews see that, you know, hey man, it's too many of them and they ain't in the army. And they just, you know, and hanging there. And plus, man, I didn't expose how that they done got the Israelites and stuck them in Dimona next to the nuclear plant. You know, now that exposed, you know what I'm saying? Every time I expose something, man, it should be some change come about. Well, you know, these Israelites, man, are getting kicked out the promised land. And you know, should we feel sad? Should we Israelites feel sad about them getting kicked out the promised land? Me, no, I ain't sad, because they believe in demigods, they believe in Yawashis, and then they didn't go back to the promised land based upon prophecy and so forth, you know. And I'm going to read the prophecy that's supposed to take us back to the promised land. And every time, you know what I'm saying, we get redeemed, in the end, with the prophecy talking about it, man, it go like the book of Isaiah, how we supposed to ride on our enemies' back and how they supposed to assist us after dogging us out for so long, and how they gonna have to go on and yield and come on into understanding that we the Israelites, and then go on and breaking us off a little something and then leaving us alone. You know, that's the way it's supposed to go. But these Israelites, men, escaped captivity and then, you know, made it back home, and then they be using Jewish history. But let me read this. This is how it's supposed to go. This is how it's supposed to go. Alright. For the Elohim will have mercy on Jacob, and yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Look, for the Elohim will have mercy on Jacob. Man, that's the whole Israelite heritage in peoples, in community, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Well, that ain't happened to the Israelites that's over in Dimona. That the enemies, the strangers is not cleaving to them, and they ain't assisting them in no kind of way. Matter of fact, they dogging them out, and they ain't finna kick them out the places that they just only knew for the last 40, 50 years they've been there. Man, that's all they know is that place over there. Look, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. Look, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. Look, me and them Israelites escaped captivity. They escaped captivity, man, in the 60s and 70s, and made it to Liberia, and then on over into the promised land. And then how that's not Jacob, the whole Israelite in captivity being redeemed and stuff, and you know what I'm saying, and that how that they left on their own, and then how they are not getting any assistance from the enemy. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Elohim for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Now, this is not happening to the Israelites that made it to the promised land and then escape captivity and how they being dogged out. You know what I'm saying? They not fulfilling prophecy and they don't represent prophecy. And they'll tell you how they done tried to do the whole Jewish heritage and what the Jews created and how they done tried to do that. And how the Jews ain't satisfied with that. Listen.
To a community that calls itself the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem. Now, this is a group of African Americans who believe that they are the descendants of one of the lost tribes of Israel.
Look, call them African Americans. You know, that's a title that they put on us, and we know that these folks done put a whole lot of titles on us. Negroes, blacks, coloreds, all kind of old wicked titles they done put on us. And they got that on them Israelites because they still using African Hebrew. You know, you ain't no African Hebrew. You just gonna be a Hebrew Israelite. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna have all those extra land titles associated with you because we're not associated with Africa. We ran into Africa escaping in the promised land, even though the promised land is northeast Africa and it's on the African plateau, but that's not, you know, the general part there. You know what I'm saying? And how did this part always, the part we lived in, always been under the control of non-pigmented peoples, that the Amorites and you know all the folks that had leprosy and Tazarat and so forth when we came out of Egypt was to run them off and to get rid of them, and how we didn't do that. So that land always belonged to them. But how the general part of this, you know, continent, you know, belonged to the Hamites. So this is not our land. This is not our land. And our land is the promised land, the only land that we ever had, and that was a promise to us from the creator of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Who created the population here on earth, and they know this, and the Tanakh is the testimony to this. It was the Tanakh was around, before the beast even got control and started telling lies and so forth. I mean that we've been had our history wrote down and stuff from the creator. But listen, these Israelites calling themselves African Hebrews, Israelites is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And that they call themselves the descendant of the tribe of Judah only show that they don't really know history. You know, they don't know history, because if they knew history, they'll know that all the tribes went into Africa as one people, with the tribe of Judah leading the way because it was our last land holding, and how all the tribes went into Africa as one people, as all the tribes, even though their names not mentioned, were taken during the Babylonian Wars, our last time on the land for the 99%, and even the prophet Ezekiel show you that, you know what I'm saying, we become one. And I'm gonna show this how we become one during the Babylonian Wars, and how that we are not all the tribes. Like, oh, we from the tribe of Judah, and I'm from the tribe of Ephraim, and all that old stuff, man. Them be Israelites that don't know history and don't know heritage, and how we just are Hebrew Israelites, and how that we become one during the Babylonian Wars because we ran into Africa, Sahara, Egypt to worship their religion as one people, but with the tribe of Judah leading the way, because the creator wasn't working with the northern kingdom no more. You know, the Israelites that they had broke bad during Solomon times, or after Solomon death, you know, what they call the 10 tribes and so forth. But this is being made one. This is us being made one, during the Babylonian wars. All right. All right. All my people brought forth upon their arms and put forth my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that I am the Elohim, and have spoken it and performed it. All right. The word of the Elohim came again unto me, saying, now, Prophet Ezekiel gonna be took into the Habar, Gazar, the rivers that they took the fighters to in the during the Syrian time. So these Israelites was took into that same part and stuff, and then how that the tribes was around after the Assyrian captivity, as I explained with prophet, I mean not prophet, but with King Hezekiah history and with King Josiah history. So all the tribes will be there after the Assyrian captivity, and how that we would uh, uh, be there when the Babylonian war started, and how the Babylonians took all the Israelites that they captured, you know what I'm saying, like 1%, but it was a representation of the peoples from all the tribes, and how we become one in Babylon, because the Creator told Prophet Ezekiel to hold these sticks up and then combine them together as one, and then that's how we'll be represented as one. So them Israelites just saying that they from the tribe of Judah, they don't know no real history and so forth, as demonstrated is that they believe in demigods and so forth. And that's why come, man, them Jews is kicking them out. But because they using Jewish history to try to explain their history, and it's wrong. So, there's going to be some consequences behind that. And plus, they can't be in the promised land as representation of the Israelite community not fulfilling prophecy. Look, and moreover and moreover thou son of man, take thee one stick and write up on it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions, and take another stick and write up on it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions, because the tribe of Ephraim and the tribe of Judah was basically the leaders over the whole Israelite man community. All right, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thee in hand. Look, they shall become one in thee in hand. He dealing with one people. Those are representations of all the tribes. You know what I'm saying? When he told them to take them sticks, and one for the stick of Ephraim, and for all his companions, the house of Israel, and then the other stick for Judah, and for his companions, all the children of Israel, because the northern kingdom peoples would go live in the southern kingdom, and a lot of them followed the tribe of Judah, as a lot of them followed the tribe of Ephraim, and it was basically the tribe of Ephraim that caused our destruction, because they kept an Egyptian connection and trade and so forth from Assyria to Egypt that would doom us. All right, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thee in hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Willest thou not show us what thou meanest by this? Say unto them, This saith the Elohim Yah. Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribe of Israel his fellows, and will put them even with the tribe of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall become one in mine hand. So we became one during the Babylonian wars, is why we went into Africa as one people, as you can see this right here. I mean, it's real easy to understand Israelite history, and all praise be Almighty Yah for the insight that he's given me to explain this to the Israelite man community. All right, man, if you go to Second Kings, man, and I freestyle the history. Ain't none of this prepared. None of the videos I hardly sit up and prepare. I just go straight into the history. All right, look, you see this right here? This is us going into Africa during the Babylonian wars. This is Second Kings chapter 25, verse 26. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldees. Look, and all the people, both small and great. Man, that's everybody. We become one during the Babylonian wars. One. We are not all the tribes individually. That's like some Israelites, man, in them camps, man. I made plenty of videos showing how they in error, talking about the Hispanics and the Native Americans, Israelite tribes, and man, some of them, man, they didn't give a whole bunch of names, man, to the native tribes, and then try to say that they Israelites, knowing them folks ain't never seen a golden calf. They ain't never seen the golden calf. They ain't never had no houses with windows and doors and so forth, and how that the natives could not be Israelites. Impossible, because of the culture that we was exposed to in the promised land, and how I demonstrate over and over how the Americas has nothing to do with Jerusalem, and how the Americas is not Jerusalem, and how you never found a golden calf worship here in the Americas. And that's something that we did smelt gold and so forth, and had stones and all kind of stuff, man. I'm talking about wheels, axles, and man, axles with wheels, and carts, and domesticated animals, and how we would have domesticated the buffalo, and all, man, it's just all messed up the way that them Israelites believe. And that's why come we being dogged out as a people and not being taken seriously, because them Israelites in them camps be using the Jewish history that they created and so forth. And man, they ain't revised their history since the computer age been out. You know what I'm saying? The computer's been out. It's all messed up. But Almighty Yah made us one during the Babylonian wars. And that's why come we ain't all these tribes that these camps be trying to, make us and so forth. And how did them Israelites, man, should understand this. Look, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, what will thou not show us what thou meanest by this? Say unto them, this saith the Elohim Yah, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall become one in thee in hand. And the sticks whereupon thou writest shall be in thee in hand before their eyes. And say unto them, this saith the Elohim Yah, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. See, as one people, when it happened, and will make them one nation in the land upon their mountain of Israel. See, up and upon the mountains. That's a future prophecy too, because when the Israelites returned from captivity, the Babylonian captivity, the 1%, they didn't worship in the mountains, and how the mountains is the future place for us to worship and inhibit and worship Almighty Yah, as the prophecies go. Look, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountain of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. You know what I'm saying? So, we one people now, and the Israelites don't know it. You know what I'm saying? We just the house of Israel. You know what I'm saying? The Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites. So we can't be African Hebrew Israelites. That's where they messed up. And that's why the beast coming down hard on them. Because they ain't in prophecy, and they ain't being the Israelites that we supposed to be. Them Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Men depending on the enemies, men to get by when it's supposed to be like this. For for the Elohim will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Israel. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Elohim for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Now that ain't came to pass. And them Israelites that's in the promised land ain't ruling over no oppressors. They ain't ruling over the oppressors. You know, I'm gonna read the rest of this, but how that they are not ruling over the oppressors, and the oppressor didn't help them get to the promised land. Now listen.
In their case, Judah, and they see Israel as their spiritual homeland.
We feel that this is our legitimate ancient homeland, and
man, I just recently did a video on him. How, you know, they done got him saying some old crazy stuff, man. His history whack, and he's supposed to be the historian over there, and he don't even know the truth, man. He say during the heard Edomite temple destruction time that the Israelites swam across the Red Sea, you know, swam across the Red Sea, and then got into the Africa and so forth. But from across the Red Sea, man, it's messed up, man. You know what I'm saying? We can't be using, you know, that whack history and stuff to try to explain our history. Man, it's gonna make our enemies come down hard on us. It's gonna make our enemies come down hard on us, and that's what's been happening, and that's why those Israelites been getting rejected and so forth, because they using whack history. Whack history, man. It ain't even in the Tanakh. Man, you know what I'm saying? That happening and so forth, but how did they done, you know, got this brother up here saying crazy stuff? He don't know what's going on.
ancestral homeland. We can document these things culturally, historically. We can document the fact that many of us are actually genetically, culturally, historically connected to this land. We answered this call. We want to be part of this light that prophetically was to go forth.
See, he really kind of in error going on the DNA thing. As Almighty Yahweh already explained that you wouldn't get no prophet bones if you ain't got prophet Abraham and prophet Isaac and prophet Jacob bones, then we can't be using no DNA as to say who an Israelite is. That we can only go by Tanakh in history. We know that the Israelites ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars because Tanakh showed this. Man, Tanakh showed this easily. We know that the Israelites were enslaved from Africa as promised. That's part of the Tanakh. That's the curses. So, you know, we can follow the Israelites. We can follow the Israelites from Tanakh to now because we are them. You see, we are them. But if you listen to this brother, they going to be using the Jews' history. You know, we wasn't around during the Roman times. You know, the Greeks destroyed the exiles real fast. You know, the exiles, men got destroyed so fast, man, that they hardly left a trace. And how he think that this brother think that the Israelite heritage continued on past the Roman times. Now the Jews know that they in error. They know that they hold history in error and that they cannot be Israelites by using the Jewish history. You're not going to be an Israelite using Jewish history. You're not going to be an Israelite using Jewish history. You can feel like it and you can try to claim it, but when you go try to present it to the Jews, they're going to reject you because they know that's not your history. They know that's not your history. They know this. They know this. All right, let's listen to some more. I think I'm supposed to be looking at something one. All right. That's going to be in the book of Jeremiah, where they didn't find them bones, where they can't find no bones, saying that this is the tribe of, these bones belong to the tribes of Israel, because we got their DNA, and it is the same in how I explained in one video how DNA is a con game, because they take the Amorite bones and DNA that ain't been disturbed and use that to try to claim, you know what I'm saying, the Israelite heritage and so forth. But this is what Almighty Yah said during the Babylonian Wars. At that time, said the Elohim, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, and the bones of his princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves, and they shall spread them before the sun and the moon, and the host of heaven, whom they have loved, and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and after whom they have sought, and after whom they have worshipped, and they shall be gathered, and they shall not be gathered, nor be buried, and they shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. So you ain't finna get no Israelite bones. You can hang that up. You can hang that up. And we know that the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, about 5, 6 civilizations and have been in the promised land, digging the graves up, digging the prophet graves up, looking for gold or anything of importance. So, our bones was put out, a long time ago. That's why come the devil ain't got no bones and say, this prophet Abraham bones, because they know it's going to start a war all around the world. That's going to start a war. So they ain't going to do that because they know they ain't got no bones. And they know they ain't got prophet Moses bones or prophet Jacob or Isaac. You know what I'm saying? None of the prophets. They ain't got none of their bones. So, the Israelites, man, they can't be using no DNA. They all messed up. Listen.
In these very dark times on the planet, and we know that we have that contribution to make, and we've made that contribution for 50 plus years here in Israel, and we're known amongst the people, and these are part of our family members who over the last 25 years have become deeply intertwined with us.
This African-American expat community, the largest in the world, has lived here for just over half a century. But now roughly 100 of them are facing imminent deportation. Israel's Interior Ministry says they're in the country illegally and has rejected their requests for residency.
We have
46 families. 46 families finna be kicked out. They probably sending them back to captivity. That's where the majority of their families, that's where their families gonna be still in captivity. And how did they doing it to smear the Israelites and let the Israelites know that Almighty Yah not working with y'all and y'all can't be the Israelites because we're able to uproot you and move you. But guess what? Those Israelites didn't go back by prophecy. Those Israelites are using Jewish history. Those Israelites are being Jewish but trying to keep a Hamite like connection and so forth, far as the blackness and so forth, and try to explain that they're just some black Israelites, but it's okay about the non-pigmented Israelites that got control of the land. See, they think that the Jews are Israelites that lost their pigmentation and so forth, and they've been trying to fit in with them folks, man. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. The Jews ain't gonna let it work.
about
The reason the Jews ain't gonna let it work because they too close to the Babylonian captivity by claiming the African heritage. The Jews, man, they smart, man. They been around since the Sumerian Empire. Man, they done been through the Sumerian Empire, the Akkadian Empire, and all those empires in the Tanakh, speaking with them tribes and them peoples and how the Amorites had association with them all the way up to today. So, man, we dealing with some serious folks. Listen.
24 of our family members, friends, associates here who received letters of deportation, intent to deport. And these were cases that had been in limbo for the last 2 decades, 2.5 decades in some cases. And so they were given, to our great surprise, they were given a 60-day notice, 21 days to appeal. Deportation notices. Certainly, outside observers have acknowledged the fact that racism is an element within the structure of the Ministry of Interior.
All right, Ashkenazi controlled the Promised Land. It was Ashkenazi that chased us into Africa under the name Chaldean. See, them Africans, those Israelites claiming the African heritage, they don't know no truth. They don't know no real truth, and that's why come they going through what they going through because they don't know no truth. They don't know that Ashkenazi controlled the Chaldean nation. Took it from Assyria a long time ago. And that Almighty Yah sent them in to chase us off the land for doing demigod worship. So those Israelites is almost subject to the same thing because they doing demigod worship on the promised land. So Ashkenazi gonna chase them out again. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a repeat in history and stuff. It's almost like a repeat in history.
Dawn now has just 60 days to get out of the country, a place she's called home for decades. Her children, all of whom were born in Israel, also face imminent deportation.
It's very disturbing to me to think that my children will be deported from the land of their birth. They've never lived anywhere else. This is the life that they know. And as an adult, this is the life that I know. I've spent most of my adulthood here in Israel. I'm surprised because our community has been here for 53 years. We have been a very vital part of the Israeli society.
See, we supposed to be independent from them. That's not prophecy, them going back. That's not prophecy. Look, for the Elohim will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Israel. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Elohim for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captive whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. The only way that can happen is if the world acknowledge what happened during the Babylonian Wars and how we are the real Israelites and how that we are not using Jewish history to try to explain that we are Israelites. See, they can become our servants, but they not going to become them Israelite servants using Jewish history.
Our children serve in the IDF.
Look, they serving in the Jewish army. Our children serve in the IDF. Almighty Yah didn't want that to happen. When he bring us Israelites back, we supposed to be in the mountainous part worshiping him. And that's going to make all nations come to us. We don't supposed to be serving in the enemy's army, knowing that they supposed to be turning their war materials into useful tools that they can, help humanity and so forth. That's in scriptures. That's in scriptures. That's in scriptures. There ain't gonna be no war no more. You know what I'm saying? And it shall come to pass in the day that the Elohim shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve the 400 years. You know what I'm saying? That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how had the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. And I explained in the videos how the Amorites set America up and how America economic system is identical to the Sippers of Babylon, and how the Sephardim who are from the Sippers of Babylon, the Sephardims who settled in our land during the Assyrian times, who we abandoned our heritage to, who were eventually chased out the promised land by proxy by the Roman by the Romans, chased them across North Africa into Spain, they old ancient grounds and so forth that the Phoenicians and all their partners hooked up, and then how that they would go over to the Americas, the Sephardim, and set up shop and set the whole economy and the tax system up and the things that we have today associating with capitalism, and how they single-handedly developed America, which made it, Babylon. And I explained how America stands for ancient Amorite noble families and so forth. So, me and the Israelites, they all messed up. They all messed up. They ain't nowhere near prophecy. They ain't nowhere near prophecy. So we shouldn't be feeling too bad about them getting, because it's not prophecy. It's not prophecy. Listen.
Aspect of the Israeli society we're a part of.
Others feel they're living in Israel on borrowed time. Their tourist visas expired years ago.
All of us have some degree of issue with the Ministry of Interior in terms of taking some unusually long time to get what you would expect to do to you in 3 years, 4 years, 4 months. It's always something. The difference is that some of us are already in the system and are moving, at least, we thought, in a positive direction. The Ministry of Interior, especially under the dominion of the Orthodox parties, has always seen us as something other than. We're not seen as Jews. It's always something else. We're out.
You're not a Jew. You're not a Jew. How can you expect the Jewish people to see you as a Jew? You're not a Jew. You're not a Jew. And you can't even say that you're from the tribe of Judah, because we become one during the Babylonian wars. As I read how Almighty Yah told Ezekiel to take the sticks and bind them together, which made us one. So we become one people during the Babylonian wars, and how we are not just Judah. You know what I'm saying? We're not just Judah. We all the tribes. And then the Jews are not going to accept them as Jews, because they are not Ashkenazi. They are not Ashkenazi or the Sephardic groups. They are not Ashkenazi or the Sephardic groups. Sephardic, Sephardic, and Sephardim. So they are not Jews. So yeah, man. I mean, the Jews ain't wrong for what they doing, if you ask me. And then them Israelites been believing in demigod worship. And then they been trying to immerse themselves into the Jewish history. When this was said, after the covenant was broken, is why we need a new covenant. I got a video explaining why we need a new covenant. And then if you go, man, to Jeremiah, because he gonna be the last prophet dealing with us, the 99%, man, before we ran into Africa, man, to do the Egyptian religion. Look, this is Jeremiah 31. Behold, the days come, said the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. A new covenant. Now, being that we broke the old covenant for Egyptian religion, we got to sit and wait on the new covenant, and we can't do nobody religion while we sitting waiting on the new covenant. Look, behold, the days come, said the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Look, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, which is that covenant that we got from Egypt that we broke. We can't do that. It's over with. It's a blessing. Some of us be trying to do the Sabbath. You know, that's just something that, you know, we do personally. But far as trying to do the covenant in captivity, it's impossible. It's over with. The old covenant is broken. We was kicked out the land, enslaved. That's over with. So we're waiting on a new covenant. So those Israelites over there trying to do a covenant that we broke, and then doing some laws that the Jews created off our heritage. So, you know, they all messed up. Man, they all messed up, man. We got to be honest with ourselves. We got to have some truth. We got to have some truth, and we can't go blindly marching on in this Israelite heritage, you know what I'm saying, with these untruths. We ain't gonna do it. We ain't gonna do it. Look, behold, the days come, said the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I brought and took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband of them. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Elohim. I will put my law in their inward parts, and will write it in their heart, and will be their Yah, and they shall be my people. Now, our law gonna be in us to worship Almighty Yah. Man, it's in us. Yah worship us now. That's why come we see what's going on, and we can condemn these Israelites act, and we can show that what they doing is not in prophecy, and how that they trying to do a covenant that we broke, that we abandoned to some scribes from Babylon who modified that old covenant, and then these Israelites escaped captivity, and then they over in the wrong spot trying to do it. It's all messed up, man. It's all messed up, but we're going to get it right because we can see some truth. So Almighty, y'all going to make it right because the lie is being exposed. All right. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Elohim, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Elohim, for I will forgive their iniquity and I will remember their sin no more. So the reason that everybody be teaching everybody is because after slavery, being brainwashed, and then waking up, coming into heritage, man, it's millions of us, and everybody teaching, everybody supposed to have the truth. Everybody think they got the truth. Man, it's all messed up. It's all messed up. But listen.
Outside of the law, and we're unincorporable into the family of the houses of Israel. And we know that there are many.
He's supposed to be the Messianic leader for the Israelites. Man, that brother ain't got no truth, and he ain't no Messianic leader, you know what I'm saying, for the Israelite brotherhood, or for none of us that believe in him. You know what I'm saying? I love the brother, you know, he was an Israelite, and he tried to do his best, but, you know, man, it seemed like that he would have revised the history, man, after the computers come in, or that they would have, you know what I'm saying, woke up some kind of way to what's really going on in real Israelite history, showing who the Sephardi's and the Ashkenazi are, and then, man, making the connection to the Babylonian wars, that he wasn't able to pull it off, so he ain't no leader. He ain't no leader. He ain't no leader because he wasn't able to lead the people to truth. You see, he wasn't able to lead the people, man, the truth. You know, he didn't show the people that Ashkenazi chased us into Africa, the Sephardi's we abandoned our heritage to, and how we ran off to do Egyptian religion. See, he didn't do that. That's what a leader's supposed to do. He's supposed to show what happened and then lead the way.
Many different versions of Judaism, many different communities with different historical and cultural differences that find a way to get along. How come we can't fit?
They trying to fit in. They trying to fit into the people who ran us off and we abandoned our heritage to. Those Israelites trying to fit in to their culture and so forth. And how we gonna lead the nations and everybody follow us and worship Almighty Yah if we doing the Jewish history and following the Jews' way? Man, we can't do that. That's why Almighty Yah hand is against them, and the Jews is bothering them, but because they ain't in prophecy. They ain't in prophecy. The Jews know they ain't in prophecy.
To this land, we've committed ourselves, our futures, our children. 100% of our children, when they graduate high school, they serve in the idea.
You hear that? 100% of their children, when they graduate, they serve in the Jewish army. He's a madman. He's a madman. He on record for saying this. Look at him. Man, them Israelites lost, man, just like we lost. If you don't come to Almighty Yah and worship Almighty Yah, you're going to be lost. And they in the promised land lost.
We've represented Israel in academic, in sports, in cultural events around this world.
The community has come a
That's not good. That's not good.
long way in the 53 years since a former factory worker from Chicago arrived here with some 30 of his followers. Devoted and committed to Israel, they practice all Jewish holidays and festivals, eat vegan, and practice.
They practice all Jewish holidays. That's awful. They can't be the representation of the Israelites in the Israelite community. They not the spokesperson. They not the leaders. They can't point us in the right direction or nothing. They just like the Jews, and the Jews rejecting them. That's messed up, man. They all messed up. Man, I hate to say it, man. We got to be truthful, man. I'm talking about some of you Israelites gonna cry and moan and groan, you know, but, man, we got to wake up, man. We got to understand truth, man. We got to accept facts, man, that hey, this ain't right. They not living in prophecy. They not living in prophecy.
Polygamy. Although it's only a small percentage of the community that faces deportation, everyone here is upset.
Yeah, they ain't gonna kick the ones out serving in the army.
Paul Islia, RT, Demona.
Man, them Israelites all messed up. Man, they all messed up. They all messed up, and they don't have truth, and they don't have truth on heritage and so forth, and they don't know that Ashkenazi chased us into Africa. They don't know that the Sephardists is the Sephardims, and that we broke covenant and left them everything. You know, them Israelites don't know that, and they leader don't know. So you know, it's all messed up, man. And they not in prophecy. You know, they supposed to be over there, man, condemning. They supposed to be over there condemning the enemy is what they supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? That's a servant of Almighty Yah, is when you condemn the enemy. You know what I'm saying? And how they ain't over there, man, condemning no enemies and so forth. And how, man, it's all messed up, man. It's all messed up. And them Israelites need to come and seek out the Israelite brotherhood. No weapon, this is Isaiah 54:17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Elohim. You know what I'm saying? Their righteousness is of me, said the Elohim. So, you know, they supposed to be condemning the enemy while they over there saying, hey, we the Israelites, we broke covenant during the Babylonian wars, and how we abandoned everything to y'all, and how that this Judaism y'all doing is not the covenant that Moses gave the Israelites. You know, like I say, man, them Israelites using Jewish history make you not an Israelite. If you using Jewish history, it's gonna make you not an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? And that's why come them Jews don't recognize them real Israelites as being Israelites. You know, the Israelites be trying to find their heritage in Jewish history. You're not an Israelite by Jewish history. Y'all gonna have to get that in y'all head. You are not an Israelite by Jewish history. That's why come them camps stay in that Christian doctrine, because they don't want to go head up and face the Jews. That's why the leaders of them camps stay in the Christian doctrine, but because they, you know, they ain't trying to take they members over to the Jews and so forth, and they all messed up too. That they scared to challenge the Jews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. We gonna get it right, you know. And then when I be saying support, man, you Israelites can support by telling other Israelites about the Israelite Brotherhood, and to tune in, subscribe, and then when his headquarters go up, man, I'm gonna want you Israelites to be members, the ones that's been studying with me. I know who you are, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna want y'all to reach out and touch me and get with me. But look, this is what our redemption's supposed to go like too. Look, behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of synonym, saying, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, break forth in the singing, O mountains, for the Elohim hath comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Zion said, the Elohim hath forsaken me, and my Elohim had forgotten me. Can a woman forget her suckling child, that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? Yeah, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. See, and then slavery messed us all up, where the Israelites don't even know all. Man, we forgot Almighty Yah during the Babylonian wars, when we went into Egypt to do their religion. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands, and thy walls are continually before me. Thy children shall make haste thy destroyer, and they that made thee waste shall go forth of thee. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gathered themselves together and come to thee. As I live, saith the Elohim, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all, as with an ointment, and bind them upon thee as a bride doeth. See, the folks that's got our heritage, if we was claiming The truth that we went into Africa during the Babylonian wars and pushed that and bear down on that, mean they're going to have to fold, because the history that I show the complete history, the complete Israelite history. Is no escaping the history that I show. And if the Israelites come on and support the Israelite Brotherhood, we can get this train rolling. We can get this train rolling. We can get this train rolling. Them Israelites that's in the promised land, if they was to start embracing the Israelite Brotherhood history, how they could change it. How they could change it, but they ain't. Look, for thy waste and thy desolate places in the land of thy destruction shall even now be narrow, be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants. Showing up all the immigrants, man, they just said that they just turned loose a million men Hispanics off into the United States, knowing that we already devastated economically, and then here they come from the uproot every little economic resource in the community, and how they work together, and how that's finna undermine the whole Israelite community to destruction, because it ain't finna be nothing left. Because all these foreigners come, in the first place they come is to the impoverished areas that we at, and wrestle the resources from us by the help of the system, and it's finna destroy a lot of Israelites as well as them shots that they done took. So all the Jesus believers and worshipers, you on the clock. Your time is running out. Your time is running out. If you believe in Jesus, you finna go down the drain soon, because 9 out of 10 your preaching done made you get that shot. And then you calling on Jesus finna be your destruction anyway. Look, the children which thou shalt have after thou hast lost the other shall say again in thine ears, the place is too straight for me. Give me place that I may dwell. That's what we need now. And it's getting rougher, and we're going to really be calling it out. Then shalt thou say in thine heart, who hath begotten me? These, seeing I have lost my children and am destitute, a captive, and removing to and fro, and who hath brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been? They've been the truth. You know what I'm saying? Where that been? Look, this said the Elohim Yah, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers, and they shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet, and thou shalt know that I am the Elohim, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But this saith the Elohim, even the captive of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contend with thee, and I will save thy children, and I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood. As with sweet wine, all flesh shall know that I am the Elohim, thy Savior, and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. So those Israelites going back on Jewish history, using the Jewish myths, oh man, they ain't nowhere in prophecy. They ain't nowhere in prophecy. They ain't nowhere in prophecy. We got to be honest with ourselves. And then that's why come the Jews are doing what they doing to them. See, them Israelites are not saying that we the Israelites that broke the covenant for Egyptian religion. They ain't saying that. And them not saying that is the reason why come they going through what they going through. And then, you know, that's like I say, the Jews, man, you ain't gonna use Jewish history, man, to try to say that you an Israelite, because it ain't gonna work. Because the Jews' history, you are not an Israelite. They have their history documented. The only history that they don't have documented is the Israelites going into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion. These folks right here, this is us. This is who we are kin to. These are our ancestors that broke bad, men that got us in this position right here. If you go to Jeremiah 44, I mean, I read this all the time, 15, 16, 17, 18. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, and Pathros answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee. Man, we said we ain't gonna listen to you. But we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. So we said, because we wasn't in Africa doing the Egyptian religion, is the reason everything was going bad with us during the Babylonian War. So all the tribes went into Africa, as I explained, that it never was any 10 lost tribes, and how all the tribes was around to run into Africa to become one people, and how we wasn't up on the land in our territories no more. So we gonna become one people. And then that's why come, you know what I'm saying, this was said. You know, we become one people. I mean, I already showed you 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 26. We become one people, and Isaiah even show you this. So, you know, we not all these different folks. All right, Hebrews, look, baby. If you go to 2 Kings 30, it show you that all the tribes still home. Second Chronicles 30, my fault. 2 Chronicles 30, and then you'll see that all the tribes are still home after the Assyrian captivity, because they escaped. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the kings of Assyria. So the Israelites escaped the Assyrians to be at home during the Babylonian wars, and how everybody went into Africa meant to do the Egyptian religion, and how that those Israelites in the promised land are not using our correct history, and how that they are using the Jewish history, saying that we went into Africa in 70 AD and that we swimmed across the Red Sea and so forth, and how that they gonna get dogged out because they ain't in prophecy nowhere, and that how the Jews didn't bring them back. So you see, the Jews can bring us back when we start putting this history showing that we the Israelites from the Babylonian wars, that they know this already. But if you don't show them and say nothing about it, they ain't finna say nothing about it. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that all the Israelites is doing well, and that Almighty Yah is looking out for his believers. Shalom, Hebrews. Much love.